important. He was never charged with anything.
So they found a 9mm pistol, 60 grams of cannabis.
Oh,
we're talking a couple ounces.
Couple zippers.
You know, our European friends now. A few grams of the cocaine. And he was cooperative. He surrendered the gun. He pointed him to the weed. He sat for an interview. He did all the things. He obviously did not listen to the pot lawyer guys because they would have told you. Yeah, shut the fuck up. You know, God bless those guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Jug Dealers podcast, where we discuss all things cannabis and lifestyle related, brought to you by the good people at 5E. And as always, available at jugdealers.net and jugdealers.shop. Jayhawk, we're in studio.
Yes, we're back in studio. Always good to be here, Gabe. Good to be sitting here with you back in the Jug Den. My good friend Grambo behind the glass there. It's just a virtual glass, but anyhow,
happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America.
This is our post-July 4th episode.
This is our
happy 250th. Yes. We thought this would be incredibly appropriate because it is our Second Amendment right, God damn it. And we wanted to discuss the big news that just happened in the cannabis and gun world. And we figured Supreme Court ruling,
with all the boom booms that happened on July 4th, why not do this one? And you know what? It's very interesting. Real quick, obviously, jugdealers.net, of course, is our landing page for everything. You can get samples, request them both commercially and for your home garden there. You're just paying shipping and handling. All the other fun stuff we've got going on, that's where you find it. And, of course, you can get, as Gabe mentioned, everything available that we have behind us or that we talk about from jugdealers.shop. And we are going to really, this has been a fun one because really, in reality, and we've been doing a lot recently on legal stuff, but that's because so much legal stuff has actually been happening. There's been, the rescheduling. We just did another rescheduling. And we'll be having another rescheduling because these things are happening over and over again, right? But today we're going to get into the Supreme Court ruling that landed June 18th, which is specifically...
This was big. I mean, again...
I didn't know this was happening either, to be honest with you, though.
It's funny because when we were talking about topics for shows and stuff, I was like, we have so much relevant stuff happening
a lot
right now, you know, and it's funny because this was actually, for those of you who know my history, you can go back and watch it. But, my father was a convicted felon. And one of the big things that he had talked about doing was getting the law overturned for felons to be able to own weapons. And this is right in that. This is right in that wheelhouse. So it's very funny, especially because the grounds they had it for us, cannabis users not having guns was kind of dumb.
Well, it was baseless at the very least, right? So this is specifically talking about the United States versus Himani, and on paper, it sounds like the headline every cannabis consumer has been waiting decades for. The court said you can be a marijuana user and still own a gun.
Yeehaw, people, giddy up.
Download BetMGM Casino, the casino born in Vegas.
Okay, sounds great right now. I'm thinking a burger.
Tough decision.
Hey, what's up? Sons of the Forest is the hottest new survival game right now, with over 2 million copies sold in the first 24 hours. With that many new players, I thought I'd put together a list of my top tips and tricks to help you become a better survivor. You might know most of these already, but it's the one you don't know that will make all the difference. So stick around to the end and also post any good tips that I missed in the comments down below. I hope you like this video, and if you're interested in more Sons of the Forest tips and tricks, base builds, and gameplay, then hopefully this video will earn your subscription because there's much more to come. So let's begin. All right, so the first tip that I have for you, and this is less of a tip and more of a tip debunk, and that is that paper targets to lock these wooden doors. So I set up a whole bunch of experiments where I either made a wall or I made a cabin, and I tried to either hide inside and use the paper targets to lock the door, or I locked a cannibal, and I even tried mutants and creepies inside, and in every single scenario they were able to break their way through. It seems that the door doesn't interact with the paper target, but like entities do to some degree, especially you. So when the paper target is on the door, you can't move through it, but if you were to like say duck under the paper target, you can go straight through. So I guess what I'm trying to say is don't let the people tell you that you can use a paper target to lock your door. It's not going to work, at least not 100% of the time. Don't rely on this trick. Okay, so for the next trick, I'm going to show you how to put spikes through your defensive wall. You're going to just put one stick down kind of close to the wall here, and then you're going to use that snap point. See how I can angle it much closer to the wall than I could if I was just doing it like this. So yeah, you use that snap point, you get it nice and tucked in there close to the wall, and you're going to continue using that snap point to just run a line of spikes just like this. You go as long as you want. I would probably go around the entire base. And after you get a good row like this, you just have to take your axe out and you can get the option to angle them down like so. And that will push them through the wall. They'll clip right straight through. And whenever you're putting your sticks in the ground, make sure you put some stones around it to solidify it. That way, if something runs into it, it doesn't just instantly break. And then we'll come around here to the other side. And yes, we should see some spikes sticking straight through. And that way, if any cannibal is trying to beat on your wall, they're going to risk getting stabbed here a little bit in the process. And so sort of on the same vein as that, you can put a stick down like so. And then let's say you want to get a higher density of sticks. Well, I'm going to snap one just like that. And I'm going to move it in as much as I can, just like so. And now I've got 2 snap points, and I can just kind of leapfrog my way straight across and get like plenty of spikes. So that way cannibals can't squeak in between them, right? Yep, definitely no cannibals are going to be getting close to this wall. The next thing I'll show you is kind of how this is made. We'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Basically, you just put logs down like this, 2 sticks down just like this, and then you're just going to use the snap points off of those to set these down just like this, right directly on top of the log. And then just like we were doing before, you leapfrog by using the next snap point, just like that, and then you can go straight across. And now you have a defensive wall with spikes on top. That's it right there. That's head height too, so you get like headshot damage when cannibals walk into it. And then you can fortify it with the rocks on the top, and you can also do the same trick that we did on the bottom, and you can have a full wall of spikes just like you see right here. And just as a side note, FYI, Virginia and Kelvin will not damage themselves, and they will not damage the wall. They actually make their way in here relatively fine without any issue at all. Okay, for my next tip and trick, I need to go find Virginia. And if I'm having a look at my GPS map, by the way, you can zoom in and out by using middle mouse button, and you can kind of get a better look at your surroundings. There's a GPS marker that's on Virginia. It's that green one right at the top there. I'm gonna go find her and I'll meet you there. And actually, while I'm walking through here, one little tip for you is that if you're going to build a base, it's advisable to probably not build it next to a road or like directly on a road or just off of the road, because these roads are used by the cannibals. And so their war parties and scouting parties will just be happening through here, and they'll stumble upon your base all the time. So if you want to build in relative peace, you should build off the beaten path. Ah, there she is. What are you doing way over here anyway? What I wanted to show you is that you can see the GPS locator. It's on her chest. Oh my god. Can you not do this right now, please? Right. Let's try that again. So if I go into the menu where I can give stuff to Virginia, I can give her my weapons, and she'll have unlimited ammo for these weapons, although she cannot use the attachments if those are on them, so you might as well take those off first. And here is the spot for the GPS locator. You can find these. These are like the purple indicators that are on your map and your GPS. So you can toss one onto here. It might seem obvious, but there's actually an achievement for this, and only about 17.5% of players right now have figured this out. Oh, crap. Yeah, she's really, really good with the guns, too. So basically, in order to tame Virginia, you just have to kind of not be hostile to her for a couple of days, and then eventually she'll bring you a gift. When she gives you the gift, you then take the gift, and then she'll lead you to some cannibals. You kill the cannibals, and she'll take that as a sign of acceptance that you're safe, and then she'll hang out with you after that. But if you were to wound her like so, see, I've just wounded her like that with the grenade, and she totally did not like that. She is now untamed. You've got to wait for her to kind of accept you again and all that stuff. I tried it a couple times there by just chopping her with the axe. That was not doing it, but the grenade trick blowing her up like that, she is definitely afraid of those explosives. All right, now let's talk about Kelvin. Good morning, Kelvin. So one of the things that Kelvin can do that isn't necessarily told to you by the game is that you can have him get sticks or rocks or logs, and if there's a nearby holder, you can just tell him to start filling the holder. So I'm standing next to my stick holder, so we'll tell him to get sticks and fill the holder that is right behind me, and he'll stack all the stuff up instead of making an absolute mess everywhere. All right, here he comes. Oops, he wanted to use my stick holder that's over here, but you saw him put those in there. No mess, no problem. Even the red man can't handle the spikes here. Holy crap, this thing's powerful. What I want you to do is get fish and drop them here. One of Kelvin's best features is that he can pull fish out of any source of water, and he does it extremely quickly. Let's just have a look at how fast he can do this. Oh, hello. Well, just like that, Kelvin has fished about 10 fish up for me. It's only been a couple of minutes, too. Okay, now that we've talked about the things that Kelvin is good at, let's talk about the things that Kelvin is not good at. Oh, and just a hot tip while I'm doing this. The tree is always going to fall away, like directly where you're facing, so you can kind of aim your trees when you're felling them directly at Kelvin if you'd like. Here's what Kelvin is not good at. Get logs and drop them here. Okay, in his desperate search for trees to cut down to accomplish his mission of finding logs and placing them over here for me, Kelvin has chosen the one thing that I do not want him to chop down, and that is my tree hut. I expect that to be patched out pretty soon, so don't count on that being a thing for too much longer. It's worth noting that if you're struggling with Kelvin, if he's like he'll maybe like bring one log to you or one pile of rocks, and then he'll all of a sudden just be sitting down and resting. That means that Kelvin's exhausted and he needs to take a break. So you gotta give him some dedicated rest time, give him a couple of hours to kind of chillax, and then have him go to work again. And you'll notice he'll be more productive if he's well rested. All right, so around the world, there are these radios that are sitting on the ground, and they play music, kind of like this, but I'm kind of afraid of YouTube demonetization for using like non-licensed music, so I'm going to turn that off for now. But you guys have probably seen these in the world, so you know what I'm talking about. But when you're near one, you can tell Kelvin to get the radio and follow me. All right, buddy, let's go party. And basically, Kelvin will bring the radio right back to your base, anywhere that you want it. Unfortunately, once you give him a command, he drops the radio and it's gone for good. But you can have a little bit of fun with it for a while. All right, this...
Kona Big Wave, Liquid Aloha.
Welcome to Pit Stop Tonight, a talk show where Team Toyota's biggest racers pull off the track and onto the couch. First talk show with a pit crew. Thank you.
I don't even know what sound a frog makes. Quack? No, not quack.
But on the show, I'm in the driver's seat.
Are those real worms, though?
Yes.
It looks like they're racing. They're going the wrong way, though. Oh, yeah, there we go.
You would think that this would feel more natural to me.
Oh.
But it does not.
Watch Pit Stop Tonight on Toyota USA's YouTube channel.
This next tip and trick section has to do with building and logging. And I've set up this zip line here. We're gonna send these logs down the zip line, so you can do that in case you didn't realize that yet. And you can also float logs down the river. This is not an ideal example. There are better rivers in the game than the one I've chosen here, but just give them a little bit of a nudge and they will start flowing down. And you can use this to, of course, just log up on top of a mountain and float all of your logs down to a different location. And I've built this dam here to catch the logs and a little staircase here so I can just walk down, grab up my logs, and then I can shuttle them right straight down to my base. So I'm gonna jump on this zip line and I'll show you what you can do at the end. You see, you can build log collectors, and log collectors automatically catch logs. You just saw both of those logs go automatically into these collectors that I've pinned here. And you can also have, of course, Kelvin can fill these up. You can tell him to fill container, or you can just throw these and they automatically go into place, which makes it a lot easier than having to walk up and deposit them in. You just huck them in and they will auto sort. Okay, and while we're on the subject of logs, here's another really quick tip for you. So we all know how to build a fire, and if you don't, you can just have Kelvin do it for you. Set up the rocks around it, and then you can take these firewood pieces. And if you don't know how to make these, all you have to do is you gotta get a quarter log. The easiest way I have found to chop wood is to set it vertically. There's my quarter log. Split that in half, and you got firewood. Now you can see that you can actually set it on the ground if you'd like, or you can make these little like firewood piles, or you can just set it right here into the fire. And the fire will take 2 of these, and this burns for a long time. You won't have to set any wood in this for several days, if not several seasons. So if you're ever doing a huge logging project, there's one really important thing that you need to realize, and that's that you can only have 50 loose logs at a time on your game, anywhere in your world. So if I were to chop down 25 trees up here, I guaranteed a lot of them would just instantly despawn. So what I'll do to test this for you is I will chop down a tree over here. So we'll just remember that I've placed 4 logs here right by this rock. And then I'm gonna chop down every tree over here and we'll see how many are left down there. Okay, I've chopped down, I don't know, maybe 10 trees or so. Yep, and this is right where the logs were right here, and they are totally gone. They've despawned forever. Make sure you put them into holders, or you just stack them up somewhere, because as soon as you do that, they don't count anymore. This is now just a structure, and you can continue chopping. So this next one is sort of a mini trick. So basically what I did was I built this little shack here, and I set up a zip line that goes through the wall. And the way I did that was I did the zip line to the back wall, and then I built up the front wall after that. And so if you zip line from the top to the bottom, you'll kind of bounce off the wall. But if you start the zip line inside, you'll actually clip right through the wall, and you can zoom straight out. So, you know, that might have some sort of niche implication for your own base. Just passing through here to the location of my next tip, and I just thought I'd point this out to you. So these purple transponder beacons, these GPS locators, will respawn every time you load into the map. So if you want to collect a few, just kind of make sure you pick up those along your path. Oh yeah, see, this is the river you want right here when it comes to transporting logs. Let's see how far we can get a log to go down the river. Chop it straight into the river. And let's follow him down. Oh, and in the lead is the one that was stuck before. I am busy. Oh, there goes an arm. See if it has the momentum. Oh, it made it. Actually working way better than I thought it would. And stuck again. Okay, we're going to the beach. All right, now that we're down at the beach, this is really the #1 place to go for small rocks. So all you really have to do is kind of like look down, and it will show you all these small rocks. So I just kind of look down, button mash on the E button while I'm heading to the ocean side, and by the time I get there, I'm usually full up on small rocks. So if you're inland and you're next to a lake like where I live, you will see ducks that will fly in. But if you're at the beach, you will see these seagulls. And if you hit the seagull, kill the seagull, we all know you get feathers from the birds, right? You get the feathers from the big birds and from the small birds. But the big birds, like the ducks and seagulls, you can actually whack them 2 additional times to get extra feathers off of them. And that's 3 more there, and that's it. No more feathers in this guy. You can harvest them up for the meat, but that's it. And alternatively, if you just want some passive feathers, you can make a birdhouse. There you go. And over time, that will collect feathers, and you just kind of walk up to it, and you yank them out. That's it. All right, let's head out to sea. So eventually, in your travels, you'll come across a wetsuit, and I'm going to toss that on, and that gives me little flipper feet, which are not good for walking. It will slow down your walk speed, but it's really good for swimming. So I'm going to head up into the life raft here, because out here on the life raft, there's a guaranteed shark. Now, I've never been attacked by a shark, so we're going to test that in just a second here. Okay, I think he's in for the attack. Yes, he took out a bird. The strategy would be to wait for the sharks to attack like that, and then move out after that. However, I've got this yummy rotten arm right here, and if I hold the right mouse button and then I throw it with the left mouse button, you'll see it floating out there. So I'm gonna toss a couple of these and see if the shark will eat one. Now, they seem pretty happy with the seagulls today. All right, well, you might have to forgive me on the bad advice there with the rotten arms. I have tried it with fresh arms, and it did work. I'm now just curious to see what happens if I'm in the water with the shark. Okay, the shark just attacks. Not very dramatic, though, is it? All right, I got some fresh cannibal body parts for experiment #2. There it goes. All right, so scratch the whole rotten thing. You just need fresh body parts, and it works just fine. Look at that. Ha, nice trick. I like that. All right, I'm just on my way back here, and there will be some people that'll tell you that the further you go away from a log, that they'll despawn. And I've been, if you look at the map here, I've been like literally a click or two away down at the beach there. And this log that we were tracking is still up here. I'm gonna head upstream and see if all the rest of them are still up here too. But before I do, we've got a little bit of a war party here, and I wanna show you another trick on the way. So put a pin in the log one, and we're gonna work on the stamina tip. So let's just do some fighting here with the spear. It's a very high stamina cost weapon, and I'm all stammed out now. No more stamina. So instead of just sitting here and waiting, I can just pop into my inventory and let my stamina bar recharge. The game is paused, no one is attacking me, the cannibals are not moving, and then when I'm all done and recharged, pop back in and I am ready to fight again. Oh, okay, took a little bit of damage there. No matter, I will just hop into my inventory and pop some painkillers and watch my health bar slowly recharge, and there we go. Good as new. Okay, we're at the top of the waterfall, another log still there. And here's another cluster up here. So let that be proof that it doesn't matter how far you go away from the logs, they'll still be there when you get back, as long as you don't go over that 50 max count. And I think that, no, I actually know that that 50 count includes like quarter logs, half logs, split logs, any sort of a loose log is counted. So if you've been playing for a while, you probably noticed the strength icon. It's right there next to your hydration icon. And it looks, it's red, and to me that's kind of counterintuitive that would be like a progress bar, but it does indicate how quickly or how well you are progressing to your next strength level. So it's, you can't necessarily check your strength level until you level up, but you can do basically everything that you do. Every mutant that you kill, every tree that you chop, everything that you build, it all affects your strength. Your strength is basically XP. So I'm gonna just chop trees for a little bit, and I want you to pay attention to the strength bar. And pretty soon here, it's going to level up.
Great hosts don't serve more.
I hope you return unscathed.
Between the lights and the laughter, they pour Lalo.
Farewell.
Simply crafted tequila, distilled to its essence. Because real sophistication isn't about excess, it's about clarity. Lalo, a living Mexican legacy.
I started a business to give old clothes a new life, and Chase has supported me from the beginning.
There we go, level 15. If you blink, you'll miss it because look, it's already cycled to the next level and it's gone. So in addition to being able to do more damage with your weapons with higher levels of strength, you'll also be able to carry a higher quantity of each item. For example, if your strength is level 1, you might be able to carry 3 spears, but at strength level 15, you might be able to carry 5 spears. It also will increase your maximum hit points, and so you'll be able to see your hit point bar divided into sections, and with increasing strength, you'll get more bars of health. So some miscellaneous other activities that might increase your strength include things like picking up logs and throwing logs, or swinging your axe, or fighting enemies, or carrying logs. This whole topic requires additional extensive testing, which I will be performing on an ongoing basis, so stay tuned for a dedicated video on this subject in the future. There it is, it's winter, and interestingly, hunger and thirst don't really seem to affect you when you're sleeping. One thing you have to be careful of when you're skipping time like this is that the difficulty of the enemies that you see and raids that you get and things like that will increase with every day or set of days that have passed. So if you just skipped like 3 years right off the bat and went into a cave, it would be right full of mutants. I myself have tested this, and a friend of mine, Just Rob, has also tested this, so make sure you're making the most efficient use of your time. Okay, on to the next tip. While I'm going, I'll just run through a couple of quick tips for you. The first one is if you hold your inventory button, I have that bound over to tab, and you select, say, you know, your axe or whatever, and then I say grab my torch, and now I hit G, it quick swaps me to whatever I had before I took that weapon out. In one of the recent hotfixes, they added this little box here to whatever item you're hovering over, and you can actually bind that 1, 2, 3, 4 through 0, so you have hotkeys now. And if you're ever crafting items and you're disappointed by the slow time, just go ahead and add all the items for your crafting recipe onto the pad or the mat at one time. So I just put all my sticks, all my feathers, and all of my small rocks, and you can just continue doing the crafting just like this without having to add in more materials, and the crafting animation gets faster every time you do it. I'm now full up on arrows. Okay, here we go. We got the frozen lake. The reason we're here is to do some building. I'm gonna head out to about the center point here from where I just put those 2 posts, just to show you that you can build on the ice. And just as an example today, I'm going to make a little bit of a rope bridge. Okay, man, I'm just trying to do a demonstration here and the frickin' party of red men show up. Oh, that didn't work. That's gonna work though. Give it a second. There we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up this tarp here and I'm gonna sleep on the bare ice, I suppose, until springtime. And we're back. My tent is now submerged in water. Still kind of here though, and I'm in the water now, finally, as is appropriate. However, my structure is still completely solid. Look at this. If I go underwater, it's just sort of floating here, but for all intents and purposes, this structure is still 100% stable. So it's pretty interesting. You can build all of your bases on top of the water. All of the basic construction that's attached to the ground has to be done during the winter when the ice is there, but once you get a foundation down, you can continue building on top of it throughout the rest of the year. All right, the very last little bit is some information that probably a lot of you already know. Oh my God, that scared me. Damn cannibals. Right, as I was saying, it's something that you probably already know, but it's just when I'm watching other people play, I don't see very many people doing this, so I thought it would bear some mentioning here at the end of the video. So I'm gonna put 3 stakes down. So we've already seen the thing where we put the rocks at the bottom so that they don't tip over, so we'll do that now. You can make fences like that, and then the fences won't fall down as well, I've learned, that you can just put the rocks at the bottom of the fence. Now you have a reinforced fence that won't break. Well, I mean, you know, it can break, but it won't just break when you run into it, we'll say. Okay, so we've seen the one thing as well where we're just gonna make a spike. Very, very good defensive spike. You can also turn this into a torch. So you just do that with the cloth, and then you take another stick and you put the stick on top. And for this one over here, we'll do the cloth and a skull on top. And it's kind of tricky, but if you look like above it, you get the light symbol. Set that on fire. And then for the third option here, you can take your GPS locator, which if you found it, it's gonna be up here in the red box. Just grab it. You can drop this on top. So now you can see it there. It's kind of difficult. Let me pull out the GPS and we'll zoom right in. You can see me. Oh my goodness. Got a mutant here. Can't have a moment's peace right here. So you can see the green beacon over there on the GPS. That's the transponder I just put back on top of that stick. So if I were to come over here, say, and we're going to set up another GPS beacon, I keep saying transponder, I'm kind of using that term interchangeably here. You can hit right click and you can set a new icon for it. So let's say we'll do a heart for this one, and you place the heart on there, but it kind of defaults back to the green. So if we zoom in on the GPS again, you can see that it's still the green one. So unfortunately, that's a bug right now. Hopefully that'll be fixed in the future and we can set different colored GPS icons. And the final tip I have for you today is just don't underestimate the usefulness of a shelf. I know, really basic stuff, right? But it took me a while to figure out just how useful this could be. So now you can cycle through all the stuff in your inventory and put stuff on here that you just pick up all the flares. I have so many flares. Put all the flares away and I can stock back up next time I go out. Some of these tips might be patched in future updates, so I'll have a pinned comment below with any new information or corrections. So make sure to check that out for the most up-to-date news. Otherwise, I hope you found this information helpful, and if you're interested, I have an edited playthrough series, and you can find links to that as well as my Twitter, Discord, and much more down in the description. My name is Temricky, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Hey everyone, I just want to say thank you for watching, for leaving a like, but most of all, thank you to the long list of amazing supporters that you see right here. I hope this episode has earned your subscription, and I can't wait to show you the next one. Best wishes to all, and goodbye.
Fraction
It is good to stay
Please,
safe.
join me for a moment. Return unscathed.
What should we order?
Pizza. Tacos. Gochujang chicken.
Phone race for the order tonight. Why can't we have
Wonder lets you combine 20 restaurants in one order?
Order it all.
food without the fight?
I think it fits.